Hey guys, welcome to Wrestling Daze and welcome to today's Raw Opinions video. We've got so much to get our teeth into. We're obviously going to start though with this breakdown of the matches and your scores because we do that during our live streams. So Sheamus against Pete Dunne, you lot scored it great, 73%. Final Testament against New Day was good, 98%. Ivy against Maxxine never really got going. It wasn't much of a match, so no score for that. Big Bronson Reed against The Miz, that was good, 95%. Damian against Dom really didn't get going, so no score for that. Damage Control taking on Alba and Isla against Shayna and Zoey was good, 90%. And then our main event, Randy against Ludwig, that was good, 97, but very close to being great, that one. It was actually really close. But so technically, we only had one match that got into the great range, which is a real shame. I do think that's an area that could have been improved this week. For me, I like the Braun moment and I like the Judgment Day beatdown. I wasn't blown away with Drew and Punk and that segment, and I wasn't really blown away with Gunther Randy. Main event was okay. I don't think it was brilliant in the sense of, I don't know, I feel like the Judgment Day segment probably should have closed the show. I thought it was a much better segment. I thought it was more entertaining. So for me, I'm probably looking at like 6.75 to 7. I'm kind of around that range. I was not bored at any point. I was entertained. It was a solid show. I think we'll see much better this year. I think we may see worse as well. So, yeah, I thought this was solid. I think if you watched it, I don't think you're going to be that down on it. If you'll be down on it at all. I thought it was a solid effort. So, yeah, I mean, kind of hard really to kind of really get our teeth into, because as we said, it's not a show that kind of is going to blow minds, but it's not a show that I think is going to really turn people off either. So that's kind of what I'm expecting. We'll have to see what we get, of course. But let's jump into it. So here, Geezer HD said, Raw was all right. Nothing to write home about. Didn't live up to the recent episodes. There are some things that are getting repetitive, like New Day and Final Testament. And also, as much as I love the Wyatt Sicks, it's starting to drag. I'm glad that Bo and Chad are fighting next week. I would agree with you on the Wyatt Sicks starting to drag thing, but they did announce the fight next week, so I'm fine with it. If they hadn't have announced that, I suppose we would be left, or I would be left with the, yeah, we've kind of seen this before, them beating up on American Made. I know that Ivy has come in, and that kind of has refreshed things a little, but I don't know that it's really pushed it along that much, but the announcement of the fight next week completely changes that. I mean, now we know next week we've got Uncle Howdy taking on Chad. It's got me pretty excited about what tweets could be getting sent out, and it's got me really excited for next week's show. So, yeah, for me, we're fine. We're absolutely fine. So, and I thought the beatdown segment this week was really good, actually. Jeremy said Raw was good. Sheamus, Pete Dunne put on a banger. The mixed tag has more juice. Women's tag was better than I expected, and the main event was fine for what it was. Brady said it was a great show. I was a little sad that we didn't get more Wyatt Sicks, but Uncle Howdy, Chad Gable, will slap next week, and a better main event, Raw. Colton says it was a good show, 7.9. Jim said, we're eating well indeed. I was expecting another video for the Wyatts, but the segment was great. Braun against Bronson should be great. Really looking forward to Randy Gunther now. And the Judgment Day story keeps ticking along nicely. 8 out of 10. MVR NDS said it was very good. Ivy match ending before it even got going was weird. I guess they don't trust Maxxine. Well, that's a really interesting comment, actually, because I don't think they really do trust Maxxine because She has had a few matches on Raw, and none of them have been that great. I think this is where main event really comes into its own, because I don't know if she does, but she could have main event matches. And that's a great way of getting Maxxine out there in front of an arena full of people, but her not being on Raw or SmackDown. It's still obviously a tape show, and I believe still goes on the network, although I never watch it. But I wouldn't be surprised to find out that she's been making a few appearances there as they try to continue to improve her in-ring skills. But yeah, this was nothing more than a vehicle for the Wyatt Sicks, was it? This was not about her. This was not about that match. It was just about that confrontation. So I don't know kind of where they are with Maxxine. More than that, I don't know what they're trying to do with Maxxine. Have they just sort of given up and they're now looking at her being a bit of a valet? Because that's what she was brought in as, in all fairness. She was a valet for the Maximum Male models. So I don't know. Yeah, we'll have to see. It's an interesting one, that. Ratchet the Owl said, I realised tonight how truly engaged I am with every story. As much as I love the Wyatt Sicks, I have to admit that my favourite thing right now is watching the Woods' eventual heel turn growing. It kind of reminds me of Shawn's heel turn from the Rockers. Ooh. Children 12 years and younger will cry. That's a really fun comparison. I really like that, because that's, well, I would say arguably the biggest heel turn. It's probably not, but it's one of the most infamous. It's certainly one of the ones that comes to my mind, with the barbershop. Shawn and Marty Jannetty and the split up of the Rockers. I mean, I know the Shield one will be up there with it. And obviously Hogan's is probably the biggest when it comes to heel turns. But just focusing on WWE/WWF, that Rockers one has got to be. It's definite top 10. Maybe top 5. Yeah, interesting. Real Wrestling Fan said it was a great Raw, 7 out of 10. But I will say I'm here for it all. Liv and Rhea, Punk and Drew, Randy, Gunther. But I mainly have interest in Wyatt Sicks. And I think I'm not alone. I do believe we need to get past this Gable thing and advance the story. But still great. WWE Ethan said, Daze, I thought Raw was good. Wyatt Sicks segment was the start of the same as usual. Howdy's hair looked like he took a pair of hair straighteners to it, but I don't mind a bit of difference. CM Punk versus Drew strap match for Berlin looks like it'll be a good one. Punk should finally win that one. Bronson against Braun is interesting. Xavier turning heel story with the Final Testament is growing on me. Lastly, I thought Pure Fusion Collective should have won the tag titles from Triple H, has been pushing them in recent weeks. Thanks, Daze. Thanks, Ethan. Thanks, buds. YNWALFC said it was good. Sheamus and Pete Dunne was a banger. As soon as Alpha Academy's music hit, I knew it was almost time, and it was. But a group ambush instead of just Nikki and Howdy with a sister Abigail, amazing. Next week was just like this week, with Bo's first ever match as Howdy and Bo's first overall match in 5 years will hopefully be cinema. Odyssey and New Day. I'm liking the potential heel turn for Woods. Good main event. Overall, good show. 7.5. Wrestling fans since day one said, Daze, we called it. It came true. About Ivy and Nikki Cross. The show was okay. I think we missed the big storyline on Raw to keep the audiences invested. Sort of like the Bloodline story on SmackDown. We need something like that on Raw, but different. Well, I think that, yeah, maybe. I think the Liv Dom thing is meant to be it. And they're clearly trying to build up Gunther and Randy. I mean, they're really trying to make Gunther feel like a top star. You know, he's in a feud with Randy. They're opening the show. They're closing the show. I mean, I feel like they're really pushing that hard. Interesting, we didn't really get much during the show. But yeah, Liv and Dom and Judgment Day, that's clearly massive as well. So I think they're really looking at that, to be honest. But Alvin said, Daze, that Howdy was is not Bo, but Alexa. Look at the blonde straight hair. Storm said, honestly, I really enjoyed it. I thought the matches and segments were okay. I think this is a good build to Berlin so far. So overall, 8 out of 10. Samantha said it was a good show, 8 out of 10. I wanted to see more Wyatt Sicks. Wrestling Kingdom 41 said it was a solid Raw as always. I remember a time where the weeks after SummerSlam were unbearable. It's refreshing to see. Yeah, I agree actually, and it is true. I mean, maybe even last year, between SummerSlam and Survivor Series was not the best of times. And now we do seem to be eating a little bit better. So, yeah, this is good. Long may this continue. I do go back to a point I make quite often, though, and that is I wish there was a big show coming up. I mean, obviously, we've got Bash in Berlin, which is not a big show. It'll be a fun show, but it's not SummerSlam. Bad Blood kind of feels like it's bigger, to be honest. There's a lot of fantasy booking for that. But even that's going to be in an arena. And I don't know that we can compare that to a SummerSlam or a WrestleMania or a Royal Rumble or even a Money in the Bank. It would be good if they do make it a massive show and it could be comparable to a Money in the Bank. But I don't know. I mean, we're obviously not close enough to really know. I don't know if we're going to Saudi later this year. That normally has a bit of a bigger feel to it because of the venues. And obviously you've got Survivor Series. If that's going to be Bloodline, that'll be absolutely huge. But I don't know, compared to a SummerSlam, a Rumble, a WrestleMania, Survivor Series does always feel like it's firmly in last place. So I do wish there was this big show that we had like September, October, that was kind of comparable to a SummerSlam. You know, I do feel like there's a gap there, but we don't have it. So unless they make one of the shows around that time feel like that. I actually don't know what the rest of the year looks like. I'm sure there will be a Saudi show because we haven't been to Saudi this year, so there must be a Saudi show coming up. But they're weird shows, aren't they, the Saudi shows? They're weird. I kind of feel like they're living in their own universe sometimes, those Saudi shows. Sanan said, Raw was solid. Feel like Gunther will hit Randy with an RKO at the PLE. Punk versus Drew in a strap match should be brutal. Wyatt Sicks' presentation was great. Surprised Xavier didn't turn. I think they're really, going to string that out. Bronson Reed is being booked so good. I hope they don't F it up. Glad to see Judgment Day standing tall. Eddie said the Wyatt segment was freaking phenomenal. I don't really care about the rest of the matches, if I'm being quite honest, but it isn't at all what I expected in the best way possible. Joey said, Daze, how's it going? I'm good. Hope you're well, Joey. Raw was great this week. I'm going 8 out of 10. Looking forward to seeing Uncle Howdy in action. And I love the new mask. Yeah, new mask for Howdy. A slightly new look. Obviously, there's been a few comments about the straight hair already. So, yeah, I don't know what it means. I don't know if he's going to mix it up a little bit more now, or I don't know. I don't know what it means. I can't quite put my finger on it, but interesting. Keeping us on our toes. Musically High said, I didn't think it was that great. I'm slowly losing interest in the Wyatt Sicks stuff. It's same old stuff every week. The whole show felt like I'd seen the same stuff last week. I'm going to say it's average. 5 out of 10. Well, I can understand it. I mean, the only thing is I'd say about the Wyatt Sicks is I think it's good we've got the women involved. I mean, seeing Ivy in the ring looking nervous and then Nikki standing behind her, that felt different. We haven't had anyone for Nikki to really go after, so that was kind of cool. And then obviously the announcement about the match next week. We know Uncle Howdy is going to be having his first match on Raw, so obviously that's built up a lot of excitement. I liked the beatdown and the way it was presented with the lights being down and the fireflies out. I kind of thought that was good. But yeah, I do understand the criticism, if you will, this is quite slow. But as we said, we know where we're heading. It's only next week, and we get Uncle Howdy, Bo Dallas's first match in 5 years. That's pretty sick. Jay Wyatt said Raw was good. Gotta be honest, the Wyatt Sicks segment's getting a bit repetitive. I'm not down on it, but I'm just waiting for that in-ring promo on the mic, as Bray used to do so well. Yeah, there probably is a need for, well, it could be in-ring or like a Firefly Funhouse type vehicle. Something where this group can kind of get a bit of a message across. There is a real distance between us and the group, because we did get those interviews, but they didn't reveal a great deal. We found out the identity of the group, and now we're seeing the group not wearing their masks. You know, I mean, the Wyatt Sicks attacked, and obviously Rowan didn't have his mask on, neither did Gacy, neither did Dexter Loomis. So we know the identities, we know what they look like under the masks, and they weren't wearing the masks. We know how they wrestle now. You know, there's a few bits, obviously, that we've learned. I still feel like we're in the introduction stage. I still feel like it's a bit hard to compare this group to Bray and all of that stuff, because I still feel like this group are still finding their feet. They're still finding their chemistry. If you think about the Wyatts, they had a hell of a run down in NXT. You know, they were down in NXT. I think they even started in FCW, which was before NXT. And then they, you know, had all that time in NXT to kind of work stuff out. This group have not had that. They haven't had any time in developmental. So they're kind of having to feel their way through this. So I would say stick with them, obviously. Give them some time and be patient, because, you know, they're going to work it out, and we're going to find, you know, the groove and the chemistry and everything. But I could totally understand not everything being 100% from the get-go. Like, I think, you know, there's a lot of chemistry that needs to be found. But yeah, good, fair. CJ said it was a pretty solid show this week. Alex said Raw was good. Ivy Nile made the worst decision ever by turning on Maxxine Dupri, therefore getting targeted by the Wyatt Sicks. CM Punk making the match a strap match makes it even more unpredictable. And I'm happy that they made the Judgment Day look strong. 8.5. Belinda said, nice setup for Bash in Berlin. This should set them up to win, and hopefully it's the introduction of Jay when they help Sammy and Jay win the tag titles. Hopefully it's the introduction of... Oh, could that be Rhea when they help Sammy and Jay win the tag titles? I think that's probably meant to be Rhea. Got you. Belinda, shout out to you. Nice. LS Dub said it was a really strong show, and the build to Berlin has been entertaining. One of the better builds of the year, in my opinion. Everyone on Raw seems to know their role and be in a rhythm right now. I also can't wait to see who the IC tournament bolsters. Maybe Ilya, Dragon Lee. Oh, that's a really good question, you know. I like that a lot. Who is going to be in and who is going to win that IC number one contenders tournament? Slipknot 2K Sean said it was good, 8 out of 10 in my opinion. To be honest though, I think they should have made Gable Howdy at Bash in Berlin instead of next week's Raw. Overall, great show. Nonetheless, much love, bro, from Philly. Slipknot 2K Sean, shout out to you. Logan says, hello, Daze, and Push Kyrie saying, great Raw. My rating will be an 8, and I'm just glad that Io and Kyrie didn't get pinned. We're good, and Io and Kyrie are so good at what they do, and they showed that tonight in the triple tag match, especially with Kyrie saving the botch and made it look like it was planned. I still think Io and Asuka on Raw Netflix for Japan wrestling fans watching Netflix. I think Kyrie drafted to SmackDown so that we can push Kyrie, and she's got a chance to win the WWE Women's Championship. Raw on Netflix, more hours, nothing TV commercial, and ring segment backstage to ring. Don't know about that last bit. Ring segment backstage to ring. I was with you up until this last bit here, which just sort of lost me a little. But you're saying do Asuka and Io on Raw, Kyrie goes to SmackDown, and we like get behind and we push Kyrie. I think the problem Kyrie's got is it's the land of the giants, really, in the sense of I think Raquel's on her way back. Rhea is around. Jade's around. Bianca's around. Nia's around. Bailey is around. And it's just like, it's hard, I think, for Kyrie to kind of push through that crowd. I think it's hard for Io to push through that crowd. It's stacked. And it's just getting even more stacked. I think they've got high hopes for Lyra Valkyria. We've got Roxanne, who will be coming up soon. We've got probably Cora Jade, who will be coming up soon as well. And it's stacked. It's just a very competitive. It's probably about as competitive, the women's division, as we've ever had it in WWE. And Charlotte's on her way back as well. Kiki said 6 out of 7. El Patata said, I hate that they weaken Randy's leg. It's Gunther's first defense. They should make him look strong and beat him clean. Kyrie and Io didn't eat the pin. They get new merch. No one in Damage Control is losing for a while. Asuka back on top when she returns for sure. Beating Rhea at WrestleMania for sure. Carrying story with another next week. Expecting more talk from Bo, but if we get a match, then it's all goods. I hate everyone in the new Judgment Day like never before, except JD McDonough. Why they do my boy Butch so wrong? Rating 8 out of 10. Carl said it was a solid show. Love seeing the Judgment Day finally do more than run away from the Terror Twins. Yeah, good point. New Nikki was come in during Ivy Maxxine, but wish we got the match for more than 40 seconds, as I was excited to see Maxxine actually wrestle, but oh well, it was still goods. Right, Luca said it was okay. Big parts to me were Wyatt Sicks. We saw a new Uncle Howdy mask. Hair wasn't too crazy about it. Hope he goes back to the dreads and the other mask. Terror Twins and Judgment Day was goods. Other than that, wasn't too crazy. Can't wait for Uncle Howdy's debut next week. Zaniac said Raw was a little underwhelming in my opinion. It just didn't feel like many stories progressed. New Day versus Final Testament is dragging at this point. Wyatt Sicks did the same thing they've been doing, and the main event didn't do much to further Gunther-Randy feud. 5 out of 10. John Elite said, can't wait for Howdy and Chad next week. Pete Dunne and Sheamus rematch at Berlin or further down the line. Xavier heel turn down the line. His reaction to Kofi not tagging him in might hint at it. Braun versus Bronson at Berlin. Loved the Judgment Day beatdown. So a few questions there by John Elite. Things that we're going to have to wait and see how they play out. Rosemary said, I loved it, but I kind of wish someone would come out and help the Terror Twins. Maybe Jey Uso. Rhea Ripley needs her Dark Knight to come to her rescue. Let's go. Here's Kirby saying Uncle Howdy, Alexa Bliss teaming up is going to be cinema. Can't wait for her return. This is Braun. I'm about to remind the entire world I am a living nuclear weapon destined to walk the earth forever. Indestructible. King of monsters. There's a little clip with Bronson talking about how he's going to get ready for Braun. Strowman is back. Seems like X is very excited. I was very excited as well, actually. I'm really pumped for these two, so it should be really, really fun, that. Really fun. So there we go. That was people's thoughts about this week's Raw. Hope you enjoyed it. And certainly we can look forward to Uncle Howdy Chad Gable next week. Can look forward to lots of things next week as we get a little closer to Bash in Berlin. Thanks a lot for watching, my friends. Thanks for contributing. Appreciate the support as always. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.